And we're live.
I like that. It's showtime. It's set up there.
It is showtime.
I got goosebumps when I saw that.
Yeah, this is fun, Sarge. I for the first well, not for the first time, but I got to say it's live or we're live. And
Yeah,
we're actually live.
and we're actually live.
We're actually live. It's
That's
not
usually
recorded.
that's usually your call thing, though, isn't it? We're
It
live.
is. And we're live.
Yeah.
We're recording. It's usually how it goes.
I don't know how many people. I'm interested to see. I don't care if it's one person or 1,000 people. I mean, it's plenty to say today. So
There's a lot to say. You just got off strike duty. I had strike duty today.
Yeah.
How did that go?
it went good. I mean, it's. I tell you one thing that I'm starting to notice here. 2019, same thing happened. 31 years that I've been working for General Motors. 2019 and now in 2023. This is the second time that I've been on strike.
Really?
We never were on. We had a wildcat strike one time. I believe it was in the mid 1990s, and that was when they were going to fire our shop chairman,
Oof.
Al Ali, the late Al Ali, and that wasn't going to happen. So that was a 1 day situation, and that got ironed out. However, it got ironed out. But other than that,
How did that work? How did that happen? Like, what does a wildcat strike look like?
basically it's unauthorized, where the workers just say, okay, that's one thing you're not doing, and we could care less about what is contractually, what's legal, what's illegal. We're walking out.
Is there repercussions to that?
There could be. I don't know. I think that we avoided any loss in throughput and production based on the fact that I was a temp then.
Oh,
So I was scrambling to figure out, what am I supposed to do here? I think it was 94. I was not yet full time, or maybe early 95. And I remember a lot of the workers coming to me and saying, just stay here. Just stay here. Don't go. And we had a couple people that were mad that we didn't go, but that's just ridiculous it's not, we're on strike right now and it's authorized. And so the temps are out.
right.
But that was wildcat, and that's a whole different ball game. But again, within hours, I don't even think it was 24 hours. I can't remember. Jeez, I was 24 years old.
What was he getting fired for?
I don't remember. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember what happened between him and our plant manager then, Mr. Herman Moss. Who I actually liked. Him. There was a disagreement, and Al was very it was a different time. The union was very when it came to Lordstown, there was no messing around. We'll negotiate with you, but if you push us in the wrong direction, it's not going to take a whole lot. It's like that person who has a really bad temper and it just takes the slightest thing to set them off. Maybe that was one of our demises. Because that was always our, people, when they said Lordstown, it was always, oh yeah, Lordstown. Yeah, we know how. And I think that bothered General Motors from the get-go. And I think that's led to part of the problem in 2019. My opinion.
And what you mean by that is they closed it down.
Shut the doors. Oh, I'm sorry. Unallocated. Yeah. They came up with the term unallocated, which meant that they're not saying it's closed. They're just saying that right now they can't find the right product to put in there. So they're going to shut the doors until they can figure it out, which just happened to be a contract year. And just so happened to be that when the contract came up, then they decided, because now it's legal, now you're officially closed. Because by closing it in March of that year, that was illegal. That was contractually, you can't do that. So that's what that whole arbitration is about right now. That's been going on for almost 5 years. I believe GM's fired their legal team in that situation 3 times now.
Whoa.
The arbitrator has awarded us to be made whole, but hasn't said what that's supposed to be. He actually was going to allow, I believe, the 2 parties to come together and figure out what that meant in terms of being made whole, whether it was MSR, early retirement packages, or is it a financial obligation they'll have to us based on how many, in terms of wages, in terms of profit sharing, everything we lost, what's that all equate to? We don't know, because here we are again. We're going to be waiting another 4 to 6 months for the new legal team to look everything over, because they don't really know too much about it. So, they're going to look it over, and then we'll find out again. I figure by the time I'm 80, we'll know what's going on, but we're not to be mad. We should be grateful.
You should definitely be grateful. You have a job up here in Lansing, Michigan, away from your family.
Yeah. I mean, so here's the weird part of that. I always as pessimistic as we can be in human nature, and people who know me personally know that the pessimism will come out from time to time. I mean, it will. But I also try to look at it from an optimistic standpoint, and I was able to land a spot within striking distance of home. So I'm about 4 hours away. I've been back and forth over 100 times
Oh my gosh.
easily. And I'm not kidding you. People think I'm lying when I tell them this. I don't mind the drive. I don't mind it. And I always look at a lot of different things. I grew up in a town where a lot of families had painting companies. I grew up in a Greek town, a Greek guy in a Greek
Blue collar
town. Yeah,
workers.
blue collar workers. And we always get that stereotype. Greek, the Greek guys are painting the bridges, painting the water towers. Well, we had a lot of families that were very involved in that work and very successful. But the drawback is that you're out of town a lot. You're out of town for months at a time and you don't see your family, and it's back and forth, back and forth. And so I always watched that. I never did it. I always watch it. I think about how those guys have to do that. I think about people in our United States military. They're overseas for sometimes for 2 straight years without seeing their family. Children are born before they even get to see their child. The child is already a year old. Not because they want it to be that way, but that's so you think about sacrifices like that. I've still been able to see my eldest. I've been able to see his basketball games. I've been able to be involved with my youngest in so many different aspects of his life. And they've been up here 12 times, maybe now, 13 times now. Every time they're up here, it's Horrocks. We got to go, that's like the greatest thing that's ever happened. But
That's a good spot.
it is for especially for a kid when they walk in there and the
Candy.
candy and the
Yeah.
popcorn and do it yourself little situation there. But I mean, so I try to look at the positive side, and I didn't here. I'm not gonna lie to you. One of the things I was worried about. So when I left my Lordstown family of 25 years, I didn't want to I didn't want to start all over again and meet new people and develop relationships, because my whole goal in my head was get home, get in, get out, and that was,
Yep.
and I knew it would start happening. And then lo and behold, I start liking you people up here. And I'm just like, here we go. Now I have to start liking these people because of I'm treated up here. When I tell you, I feel like I'm in Lordstown, just 4 hours away.
Right.
And I've met so many good people and I've developed so many relationships. The good thing about that is, as upset and sad as it is to a certain degree when I retire, I always think about this. Everyone's like, I can't wait to get out of there. But I sit back sometimes and think to myself, when I leave, what is it going to be like that day?
Mhm.
What type of emotion am I going to have? Because there's so much that goes into that.
I would imagine that you would be sad and you'd almost feel like alone slash like with no purpose, because as much as we all hate that place, as much as we all hate being at work, that's our life. Like that is who we are as
Yeah.
people. That I mean, day in and day out, we build cars together, we joke, the camaraderie that comes along with everything. Like when we see each other walk by, we're like, "Hey, fucker, what are you doing?"
And we don't even think twice about it, right?
No, we don't.
No one gets upset about it. Nobody has their feelings hurt. No one gets a coloring book.
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so there's that part of it. There's that part of it, and the joking around and the jabbing at each other, and I think it's because of the journey. A lot of people think this journey is easy. It's not. It's not easy in any way, shape, or form, mentally or physically. It's very stressful. Anybody listening to us talk right now that works at any automotive industry, any one of the big three, if you're working for them and you're in a facility, you know damn well what we're talking about right now. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. It is not put a screw in here and make sure the radio works and then go sit down. That's not how it goes.
No,
It's
no.
get 56 cars off this line an hour,
Yep.
run your ass off, get moving. Oh, line's going down. Get over here. Why are we down? What's going on? How come the scanner's not working over here?
Right.
What's going
Yep.
on with this computer? Why is it not torquing out to the proper torque specifications, GMS standards? And people think that, the uneducated auto worker that we are, that all we do is just stand there and watch the car go by. And we wipe the door real nice. Oh, that's not how pretty that is as it goes by. No, that's not what goes on.
No,
And
no, not at all.
it's a stressful job. It's very physical in nature. It's very stressful in nature. And
It's so stressful that a lot of temps that come in will work the line for a day or even not even a day, and they'll leave. They won't even come back from break.
You know how many times I'm a trainer on our team. How many times I've had someone say to me, "This is not what I signed up for. Not for $16 an hour."
No.
And what is it? 2 vacation days a year?
Just 2 or 3, something
2 or
like that.
3
Yeah.
vacation days a year and
Yep.
$16 an hour. It somehow the CEO for Ford has said in whatever interview he was in on MSNBC or the Today Show, whatever, he claims that we make 78,000 across the board, 78 to
Oh,
$80,000 a year.
with overtime.
How much
A
overtime?
lot.
A lot
That's
of overtime.
9 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
2
then
on, 2 on, 1 off.
sometimes 10 hours a day.
Right.
And well, that's what you signed up for. No, that's not what we signed up for.
Well, what happened to the 40-hour work week?
Well,
Isn't that, I mean, that was something that the union used to be really proud of
that
back
was
in the day.
huge. That was
And then
huge.
when did that go away?
That went away with the shelf agreement, I believe.
When was that?
That was in the mid 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there wasn't overtime before that or any type of mandatory overtime
Right.
before that, but I can tell you that it seemed like when the shelf agreement became part of the contract in the mid 90s, I believe that was, it was this huge contract that saved General Motors so much money. The union agreed to it. It didn't go exactly the way that we thought it would go, and it just compounded over time. And basically, I think what people have to understand is, so you're getting up at 6 a.m, you're going to work, you're getting home at 5 o'clock in the evening, 4:30 in the evening, in the late afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and you're doing that so many times a month, 6 days a week. And so I think people hear this new thing now, folks. You're hearing this 32-hour work week, and it's pissing people off. Who are they to work 32 hours a week? What kind of ridiculous? That's part-time. Somebody said on one of the news channels when they were doing the debates, those people think they're going to work part-time. 32 hours is part-time. We don't think we're going to work 32 hours.
So are they adding in vacation time, like, and how it would equal up to be like a day off per week, and that's why we would end up with 32 hours a week?
I don't know how they're doing it, but here's what I think is happening. Daily overtime was taken away in 2008. When everything went down, the recession hit, GM, Ford, Chrysler all flew their private jets in to talk to Congress, and which that was a bad move. Actually, I believe GM, Rick Wagner was the CEO at that time, and they got on his case bad. They said, "You want money from us while you flew your private jet here to talk to us." So he drove after that. But I mean, isn't that, talk about condescending? Talk about the fact that they have no real concept of middle class America. That just defines it right there. And so folks, if you disagree with me, that's great. That's fine.
If you disagree with them, leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a
We
comment.
can have a discussion right now.
Yeah,
live.
I'm fine with that. So basically, suddenly that was taken away. Okay, and now it is this whole concept of we're going to need to work, suspend Plan A. At times, we're going to have to work 10 hours a day, no paid lunch. You're going to work 6 days a week whenever needed until we meet a certain production level because there was a breakdown. Okay. So anything over 8 hours is overtime. No, anything over 40 hours is overtime. So we can work 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours, then have a massive breakdown
and not get overtime
because we end up with like 39 or 40 hours a week.
Right.
Save the company a ton of money? Sure does. Do I understand where the company's coming from there? Sure do. Do they really need to do that to their employees? Sure don't.
Yep.
They sure don't. You don't make billions and billions of dollars in profitability on a regular basis and need to do that to your workers. There's a guy, Simon Sinek. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Inspirational speaker, motivational speaker, however you want to label him. Very good. Look him up sometime. Simon Sinek. He did a seminar, and I can't remember what company he did it with. And he was talking to all the people in the audience. You can't see the audience, just him. And he asked a question to a lot of these people who are business owners, I'm assuming, based on the way the conversation was going. He said, "Who is your customer?" And everybody in the audience, each person was giving the customer as the person who is buying their product or the person who is purchasing their services. And he said, "You're all wrong. The customer is your employees. The customer, number one, is the people who are building the product, making the product, providing the service to the customer. in order to make you the particular whatever your net revenue is on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
They are the customer. We are General Motors customer. All right. Our CEO should look at us as the customer. And I'm not saying you have to make us happy like we're little kids saying we want more, we want more. What I'm saying is if we're the customer, you have to somehow understand that when you lie to us, when you tell us in 2008, listen, we're going to take away cost of living allowance. You got to help us out here. We're buried. The amount of fat, all right, we need to trim down. We need to do some intermittent fasting here. Okay. And so cost of living allowance has to go away for a while. When we get out of this, we'll renegotiate cost of living allowance back into the contract. Pensions are going to go away for everybody who's been hired after 2008. There is no more pension. There is no more health care for people after they retire that are hired after 2008. The temp program is no longer going to be from Memorial Day to Labor Day at 6% of your workforce. It's however many people we need. They're going to work January through December. They're going to make $16 an hour, which we have thousands of them between the big three. And they're going to get 3 days off, which that didn't even happen in the beginning. We wait for those days off for them in the last contract. So they're going to get these 3 days off. They're going to make $16 an hour. They're going to work 50 to 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Well, why don't they get another job if they need to make ends meet? And where are they going if they're at work from 6 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Saturday? It doesn't make make sense. And have kids. And the biggest thing about the 32-hour work week is more or less we the overtime back, because that would then level the playing field of, well, we got to go 10 hours every day. Are you sure? Because that's right. Fine, but that's time and a half after 8 hours.
Right.
And we're trying to get back to a level playing field. It's not necessarily meaning that we're going to go 32 hours. We're not going to go 32 hours a week producing a car. General Motors, for all of you out there, I've seen a couple people say, well, if you built a decent product, maybe this wouldn't be a problem. Here's some information for you, sir. If by chance you've stumbled upon this podcast, General Motors is probably going to sell over 2.5 million vehicles this year. They normally hit over 2 million every year, right?
Yep.
2.5 million vehicles. Their net revenue on average is between 140 billion and 160 billion dollars a year. Their profitability margin, they are making anywhere between 10 and 13 billion dollars in profit a year. Explain to me how in the hell we're making a garbage product. You're going to tell me that there's 2.5 million people on a yearly basis that say, I'm looking for something that's really a piece of garbage. GM makes garbage, don't they? Let me go spend $60,000 on that. It's absolutely, anybody who comes up with that argument, that ship has sailed. We make a fantastic product. End of story. I work with some of the most skilled people that don't even know how skilled they are, because we're so damn good at what we do. We don't even realize it. It's kind of like, it's like a Hall of Fame quarterback that doesn't even realize how good he is, because he has mastered his skill to the point where when people say to him, how good he is, he kind of looks at himself like, wow, I just doing what I love, or I'm doing what I have to do to make my team win. So it's amazing. Like, I don't think a lot of us realize how good we are at what we do and what we have to understand when it comes to the GMS process.
No,
when it comes to global manufacturing stand, there's so much that goes into COM-WIP, the 7 different forms of waste, and how much waste goes into the vehicle. And overproduction is a huge problem, and motion is a huge problem. Motion is a problem when it comes to our jobs on the line, when it comes to how many times we're going back and forth with a piece apart from the front end of the car to the back end of the car, and
everything's marked down to a science.
Everything is marked down to a science.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that science when it comes to motion.
Physics.
Ergonomics is a huge issue when it comes to motion. Over your head all day long, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And people who don't understand how that process works, if you don't understand GMS standards, if you don't understand COM-WIP, if you don't understand what a BD, what the BDP board is, and level 4 boards, and how they translate over to level 2 boards, and how it goes to a health and safety team at the end of the month, where they look at these health and safety issues and how they have to come up with a resolution. See, people, but we're just the dumb auto workers. So what the hell do we know? And they look at us as these uneducated people. If we don't have degrees, we're uneducated.
Right.
I think it's funny because I have a degree. I don't think of myself as any more educated than anybody who doesn't have a degree.
Yep.
Educated goes a lot further than the theoretical aspect. So you could sit there as an IE, and we have some fantastic IEs, okay, engineers that
Yep.
help the process through. When you sit there and watch that car being built, if you have a moment, right, and you're off the line, you got to really look at this and go, man, this takes a lot of brain power
Yeah.
and manpower to make this process work from a management standpoint and a union standpoint. And when you look at that, the biggest problem though is the IE is trained to put everything together in a theoretical aspect. This has to work this way because this is how I learned.
It doesn't mean it's going to, though.
It doesn't mean it's going to. It doesn't mean so. And then what do we do? We save the day. We're the SWAT team. When you think about it, we're the SWAT team. I love that show, by the way. You ever watch that?
SWAT?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's a little older now. Well, it was a 70s show. This is where my ADD kicks in, everyone. It was a 70s show, and I watched it, and now they reinvented it, right? And I think it's actually been done, but I'm behind on everything. If it's not 80s, I'm like way behind on everything. And so
it's not the 80s, and you haven't already seen it.
So we're listen. So listen, we're the SWAT team. We have to make the round peg fit in the square hole.
Yeah.
So they know how good we are doing this, and so they know that we are able to figure out a way to make it work without any.
Well, and one of the things that they always say too, and they're recently trying to change the jobs in our area, is that they'll eventually get the hang of it and go faster. Yeah. And so they're banking on the fact that they know that we're good at our jobs and that we'll get better and that it makes it easier so that we can just, even though it's not working theoretically, it works theoretically in the computer right now, but it's not working during, let's say, trials.
Yeah.
They bank on the fact that it will work because we'll get better at it.
Yeah. And that's not, and listen, let me say this too.
This person, D-Sarge, commented.
Yeah. What did she say?
I think they were figuring 4 days a week at 8 hours a day equals 32 hours.
Yeah, they were figuring that out, Mom. But listen, every time I go over my parents' house,
hi, Mom Sarge.
Yeah, hi, Mom Sarge. Every time I go over my parents' house, we sit down and have coffee and we talk about all this stuff. We talk about politics. We talk about what's going on with General Motors. And so.
Are you guys a GM family, or were you the first generation?
My godmother is how I got in. She worked in the front offices. She typed my last name in to the late Bob Lawson, God bless him. She typed my last name in 300 times on his Commodore 64 or whatever it was back then, right? His Macintosh, his Apple, whatever. And I think he came back from lunch and he saw he's like, what is, folks, my last name is 15 letters long. Snuffleupagus. He obviously couldn't say my last name. Realized it was Greek. And he said, I'm assuming this is somebody you would like to come in as summer help, because that's what we were then. That's what we were supposed to be, summer help. Even back then, it didn't work out that way. I ended up going in April of 93. I didn't leave till Christmas. Came back in February of 94.
Wow.
Didn't leave till Labor Day. Came back again and worked almost all of 95. Got hired at the end of 95.
Wow.
So even back then, we would get laid off at certain points, so we didn't hit that 90-day mark.
I was gonna say it was 90 days and hired, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They even made a mistake though, and we ended up working like I don't know how bad it got, but we ended up getting awarded thousands of dollars in back pay because they had us working way too long past the expiration of 89 days.
Wow.
And I don't even remember how that whole process went. But what sucks is if I wouldn't have taken the money, I would have gotten the seniority.
Oh.
Now,
did you know that at the time?
No.
Of course not.
And so I got an argument with my union guy, right? And then I think about it now and I'm like, I was 24 years old. I took the $13,000. Come on. Now, who am I fooling?
Well, that's probably a lot of money back then.
It was huge. $13,000 in 1990.
You could probably buy a house with that.
4 or 5, 90, maybe 96. I don't know about a house, but you can definitely buy probably a semi-decent new car.
Yeah.
Gasoline was probably only like $1.35 a gallon.
Crazy to think about. When I first hired into GM, I bought a brand new Cruise that you guys built. Mm-hmm. It was a RS, almost fully loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost me like $24,000.
I could probably take it apart, but you still have it?
No, no,
Just for fun, we could have went out there and take it apart and put it back together.
I don't know that would be fun.
I was in, when I was at Lordstown, I was in diagnostics. I was at end of the line data response. So our job was basically to read codes and we figure out electrical problems, and the car's still moving on the flat track. We only have like a football field or a little bit more.
Wow.
And the job was to make sure that whatever was wrong, we fixed as much as we could before it hit end of the line. We were like an emergency response team. And so we would make that, we would respond and we would save end of the line quality, and, we're trying to get it up well over 90% and
Right.
make sure that car is to the care line and off the care line.
Do we have that at our plant? That job?
It's end of the line repair.
Okay.
So it's the same thing.
Okay.
It was called data response. It's, we had a flash. We had to do all that stuff. Like we had to know how to do all that. And it was really cool because you never knew what was coming at you. Right. There were some days where 7,500 cars in a row, just absolutely perfect. Then you'd have a situation where if it was a major repair, somebody was putting a seat into the car and shot the bolt and the main body wire harness was off location and they shot the bolt right through the MBWA. So that would go to the big guys.
Right.
Yeah, and they would have to change everything out. If it's just something where, basically the radio system isn't functioning properly, and we knew that it was probably one of the plugs behind the radio, we knew how to quickly take the whole thing apart, plug it in, get it all put back together, flash it, make sure, to run the codes, make sure everything clears, and get it off the end of the line before it hits the end of the line.
And that kind of speaks to the fact that you kind of have to be educated in order to do some of these things. I mean, yeah, like some of the jobs on the line, a trained monkey can do.
Right.
But things like that, it's difficult. It's not easy.
And there's not many jobs on the line.
You have to problem solve.
Yeah, there's not many jobs. So listen, somebody comes in and they say quality jobs are so easy, right? Well, if somebody comes in off the street that doesn't know how to use GSUP, doesn't know how to go into root Pareto, doesn't know how to confirm repairs on the computer. Yep. Yes, folks, we use computers. If they don't know how to go in there and take care of all that stuff, what to do with the ticket, who they need to call, where they need to call, if a certain situation is a repeated situation.
Right.
I mean, you have to be educated in that process in order for that line to run.
Yep.
That's where automation and AI and EV technology, that's what has me wondering, how well is this process going to work out?
I mean, I don't think it can fully be automated, right?
Not as fast. Definitely not as fast as they're pushing for.
No,
definitely not as fast.
Are you talking about on the manufacturing side or EVs, like in general?
Let's talk on the manufacturing side first.
Okay.
Robotics, right? Listen, Elon Musk was hell bent on making sure that he was going to be the first to run an all robotics plant.
Yep. And he's not.
Now he has 22,000 workers. You need people to function properly. If somebody misses something from the human standpoint, human error, you can fix that quickly.
Yeah.
If a robot begins to have problems and shut down, that isn't always going to be. David Hess doesn't shut down and they're over there working on him, trying to figure out. All right. David Hess missed something, gets in the hole, has to shut the line down for a second and works his way out. Yep. Gets help from another person to get his way out of there, and it's business as normal.
Yep.
But we've had situations at our plant where
it's not even not every scenario, not every car is exactly the same.
No.
And I mean, the car is the same. Yeah. The car itself is the same, but every scenario, every issue that could arise is different and can be very different.
Right.
I mean, like you work in the marriage area.
Yeah.
Not every car gets lifted off a carrier. However,
we've seen it.
One every couple hundred or thousand. I mean, how often does that happen?
I'd say I wouldn't say every shift. I'd say maybe 1 shift to 2 shifts a week is the going rate right now. And it's, and I think, and they keep,
but imagine if you had a robot that didn't know and it just kept on going and then just messes up all the other jobs.
And it's happened. The AGVs are robots.
Yeah.
And how many times have they just said, we're done? I don't know how many times the AGVs at our facility, folks, they carry the underbody over to us where we marry the frame of the vehicle to the underbody of the car. I don't know how many times we looked over and AGV's blinking red and there's 15 guys over there trying to figure it out. And we're down for 25 minutes because the AGV went on strike. Apparently Sean Fain called the AGV and said, stand up. And the AGV said, I'm out of here. I'm not going, and seriously. And we're all just standing there and we're like, you're going to do this with robotics, huh? I mean, That's great. Robotics are fantastic. Technology is
Yep.
fantastic. It really is. It's a necessity. But this whole thing, when
How has that changed since you started?
160,000 people work for North American General Motors from the union standpoint when I started. It's what,
Wow.
47,000 now.
And that's what we have almost total for the big three, right?
No, the big
Like
three is
150.
100. Yeah, big
It's
three is
150.
150.
You said
Well,
100.
yes, yes.
You said 147
right.
for
So
just GM.
for just GM, no, 160 for GM. So GM actually had more by themselves than all three put together today.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken 30 years.
Yeah.
Now in the next 8, they want to go just hog wild, and we're going to go down to, we're going to build it. So a lot of people think all they keep screaming about are these wage hikes. They want more money. They want more money. The elephant in the room is, what we want to know is what's going on with EV and AI technology. What's going on with EV and AI technology? Because that to me is more important, not because I'm going to be here, I'm going to be retired, but I want to know from a worker standpoint, what is their role in this situation? You're just going to get rid of everybody, or are you going to educate? Are there going to be an educational process where people learn and understand AI technology?
That's what I think would probably have to happen. I mean,
I would
because
hope.
if you look at like grocery stores, for instance, I mean, it's a very simplistic way of comparing it to manufacturing, but
Yeah.
used to have, people that check people out at the grocery store, you baggers, you had all these different roles. But now you have these
Self-checkout.
self-checkout
Yeah.
lanes, and you have a lot more of them. However, you still have employees, and there's employees doing different things now. Like they'll do the shopping around the store now and then deliver it or bring it to your car.
Mhm.
So it might just change, right?
Right. So why aren't you telling us what your ideas are?
Do you think they know though? I mean, I'm sure, I guess corporate probably knows.
So when you have a company the size of General Motors, they forecast. They have a 1-year plan, they have a 3-year plan, they have a 5-year plan, they have a 10-year plan. They know damn well what they're doing. This is that when they act like, they're just taking a shot in the dark. These are not dumb people. These are extremely intelligent, business-oriented, business-minded people. They know exactly what they're doing in 5 years and 10 years.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, okay, sometimes you can't really give your whole hand. You can't, because things change, right? When in business, when you talk about a SWOT analysis, you talk about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
Mhm.
Threats appear out of nowhere sometimes that you didn't see coming, and you've already promised something that may not be
Right.
viable for the well-being of your company.
That's the thing though, is AI changes it a lot. Like I mean, I use AI all the time for the podcast,
Mhm.
and within the last year, it's changed a lot. Like, I mean, it's integrated in almost everything now.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, I
It
mean,
is.
so I mean, how can anybody really predict what it's going to be like in 5 years?
I don't think they can predict what it's going to be like. Here's the problem with AI. It's a wonderful thing unless it gets in the wrong hands.
Right.
That's what's scaring everybody.
Yeah.
If this gets into the wrong hands, okay, what are the security measures to prevent this? That should be the focus, because if it gets into the wrong hands, it's going to be a nightmare. And that's what's got everybody scared, and understandably so.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was scared about like technology in vehicles. Remember that?
Yeah.
They were scared that you could hack into somebody's car and drive it into a tree.
Yeah.
Mama Sarge said something. She said, saw on the news the other day where an autonomous car ran over a lady. What's up with that? Did you see that?
I did see, I think it was a Tesla. I think it ran in. Now, this isn't the first time. It's happened in New York City a couple times. I don't know exactly where else it happened, but this, God, how do you say this without sounding absolutely like you don't care about what happened to that poor lady? These are the things that are going to happen, and that we're almost going to have to be able to be okay with to get to, listen.
Well, do you think we kind of like as a society, we know that like an autonomous vehicle, it's smarter than us, right?
Yeah.
We think like it's an all powerful vehicle. You just get in it and go, and it protects us. We're fine. But it's not like that. I mean,
No.
it's there's a risk to it.
There's a huge risk. And that poor lady, I thought I heard she was okay. I hope I'm right there. but I think it has killed a few people
Mhm.
when this has happened.
I mean,
It,
people fall asleep behind the wheel,
so
play
I
video
see.
games.
I saw this. I saw this picture one time. Okay, and it was 4 people, and there's a table like we're sitting at, and
Playing
they're playing
cards.
cards. They're playing cards at the table. No one's driving the car. That's the concept they're looking at. Dave, I could tell you, I will never be able to do that. I will never see.
You know, MSU, they have a self-driving bus that they plan on shuttling people, kids around campus on.
Good luck.
It's parked right here,
Yeah.
right around the corner.
I can't even understand that. Like, and again, so do we embrace it because we can't understand it? Do we just turn our head and say no way, never? I think my age group and older, I think we can't possibly understand that because we didn't grow up that way. It's going to take maybe my kids are going to be like, wow, this is awesome. See, when I was, my 14, soon to be 14-year-old, when I was his age, I couldn't wait to get behind the steering wheel of a car
Mhm.
because that was my mindset because
Yep.
that's what everybody was doing. Maybe as he gets older, he sees that maybe that's his dream.
Well,
I don't know.
more and more young people today don't have driver's license.
Right.
They're waiting longer,
very
or they just
strange.
don't go get them, which is very weird.
It's very strange. 16th birthday, that day, brand new 1986 Camaro. My parents, I didn't drive that thing often, but I drove it that day, got my license, and was the happiest person in Northeast Ohio. But when I train my athletes, I can't tell you how many of my 17, 18-year-olds get dropped off.
In an Uber.
Yeah, or by their parents in
Oh,
order
man.
for me to train them. And I'll say to them, so and so, do you don't have your license? I don't want my license. And it blows my mind. But it's a different mindset.
It
Right?
is.
Yeah. So the thing about this is this. I feel like it's being forced upon us, and that's my problem.
Mm.
I think there is a place for EV technology. I think there is a place for hybrid technology. I think it's a wonderful concept. However, why are you forcing this on us? And seven, I think right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, folks out there, because it's been a while since I read this number, not that long, 7.2 something percent of the country drives EVs. Okay, 7.2
Not that
something.
much.
No, in Michigan,
Is hybrids considered an EV?
I don't know. I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say no,
Yeah.
or it would probably be a higher number.
Right.
Right. And the hybrid concept, I get it. I understand where you're coming from there.
Yep. I bought one.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I may go that route. I would never go all EV. I'm not.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand some of the pros that go with it, but the cons, maybe it's my age group, the cons far outweigh the pros. I just feel that way.
There's a lot they have to figure out about it.
Yeah. The lithium battery.
It costs more than the car.
Number one, and to get it replaced, there was an article one time, and it was a true story about a guy who paid $27,000 to have the battery replaced. But I found out later in the research that it was an obsolete part, or it was an obsolete something, where the dealership had to do so much to get this battery that it raised the price of the battery. Do I still know if it's justified that it's $27,000? I can't put my head around that. But dealerships, I can't wrap my head around. I just had a thermostat issue. You know this because you texted me one day and said, the fan on your truck out here is running still. My thermostat went bad. I went to the dealership. They ran a diagnostics on it. They said it's your thermostat. They gave me a quote, $723 to change the thermostat. Me and my dad changed it in about 35 minutes, did everything we had to do, made sure there were no air bubbles in the hoses, filled it up, back up with radiator fluid, changed the thermostat out, 35 minutes tops, $93.
Wow.
That's what every
buy your dad a good steak.
No, not yet. Now my mom's listening, so now I'm going to have to do that. No, so Billy, basically, I want to know where that $600 and some dollars went. The guy would have had that done in 20 minutes with all the they have in the dealership.
But he would a ridiculous amount of money.
So was it where you just installed the big waterfalls out front? I mean, like, what am I paying for here?
Yeah.
You didn't pay that guy dollars in labor. So it's ridiculous right now. And I don't know what all goes in there. I've been going to this dealership forever, and I'll continue to. But when it repair, if I do it myself. There's no way I'm going to spend that kind of money. I'll take the time.
And the problem EVs is almost that you would have to take to a dealership. Anything that goes wrong on it.
Yeah, for sure. And so less parts means less people, more robotics, more AI, less people. Even if you grab many people, you talk to a grocery store, so they take people and in different parts of
roles, right?
different worlds. Now that we have the Uber,
Yeah.
the grocery shopping will deliver your groceries to you, or they'll come out with your bags, and
Right.
so you can do that, right?
Yeah.
I still don't equates to the amount of workers you once had
Right.
at that particular store.
No, it
Definitely doesn't. And is it a convenience in a way, Tim, or it is to give in self checkout forever? There's always standing there. Do you want? I'll be okay. I'm in the human line, as Sebastian Maniscalco, comedian Sebastian's mom. I'll human line, and the lady, do you want to? And I'll say no, thanks, out here. It was a union melody, right? It was this. You eliminated somebody's job,
right.
and it just more money, even though you were profitable.
Yeah,
wasn't enough for you.
Yeah.
Okay. But the people who
I seen an article the other day. People were protesting at Walmart in their self checkout lines.
They're kidding, or
they were just like, see, you go on. I'll see if I can find it.
So eventually, it's almost like I was forced into it, because now there's only one line with a cashier, and there's different registers. If I go to the one line, I'm literally standing down back by the meat section, like 25 people deep. And I don't have time for 25 people deep. You know what I mean? Especially when in those 25 people, you're going to have 3 or 4 that just are in slow motion. There's nothing quick about their process. So they're not in a hurry. So I'm almost forced. I feel like I'm forced into the self-checkout, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's really nothing you can do about it. What am I going to do?
And they just keep installing more. I mean, Meyer here in Michigan, there's like maybe one lane open, if that.
For with the human being,
the
actually,
human line, yeah,
human line,
yeah,
that's what I call it. And so it's unfortunate. It's the way we're going. EV technology. So between when it comes to vehicles, okay. In the last, I cannot remember how many years, but they've made in profit together $250 billion in profit. Mostly on gas, okay, vehicles they sell that take gasoline. And so my question is, or my thought process is, I have a hard time believing that the board of directors, the CEOs, the people, the president, the vice presidents of North American operations, global operations, I have a hard time that they're believing that they're sitting in a room thinking to themselves, this is the best opportunity we have, when 7% of our market is going towards this, and the other 90% is going towards this. 90+% is going to, this is where we're making our trillions of dollars in profit. This is where we're have a technology that's pretty cool, but by 2030,
right,
you want this fully implemented. Right now in Michigan, there's 37,000 vehicles that are EV. 37,000. How many cars are on the road in Michigan?
Millions.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing before I forget. I just was reading an article and watching a video. The guy from Ford who is in charge of EV technology, he's in charge of EV. He decided to take a ride in one of their electric vehicles up north. For those of you not from Michigan, up north is up north. It's the UP. It's where it's Mackinac Island, right? It's all that goes on up north. There's so much that people do up north. It's a big deal. And it's, we're talking 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe even 6. When he got back from his trip, he said, we may have to reevaluate this whole EV thing and how we go forward with it in the future. So what is going on? Why is this administration throwing so much money at these big 3? Got to get this done. We got to get this done. Here's all the money, because the environment.
Well, and what's interesting about this administration throwing money at the big 3 is that they're not even giving Elon Musk money, and he owns an electric car company, which is wild.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're not. They're not. So if you buy an electric vehicle from GM, Ford, or Chrysler, or Stellantis, you get a tax break.
Yes.
And they're not offering that to anybody who buys a Tesla.
Is it because Elon Musk speaks his mind? I don't know.
Probably because he's not union and the union didn't back him.
Okay.
I would assume.
Okay. That could be. I mean, and again, that's us just giving an opinion. I don't know.
Or the union backed Biden, right?
Listen, they asked Sean Fain, they asked him a question, and I haven't seen what he said his latest, I mean, meaning today, but the last I saw, he said, we're not backing anybody until they prove themselves to us.
Yep.
And he hates Trump. That's the two things that we know.
I like your mom. She said they don't like Musk because he calls Biden out.
There's no filter. You put her in one of these seats over here, and you'll have.
That's where you get it from.
That's where I get it from. Yeah. I'm toned down big time.
Because Mama's watching.
Well, no, but no. I agree with my mom on a lot of things. Not everything. When I don't agree with her, I drink a lot of organic coffee because I have to get ready, right? Because she's no joke. Do not come to the table with Mom Sarge. Don't come to the gunfight with a knife. She's ready for you. And so, basically that could very well be it. Yeah. But I know that I think when it comes to President Fain, his biggest problem with Mr. Trump is some of the things that he has said in the past. Donald Trump doesn't always say the right things. Like when they closed Lordstown, he really wasn't. And I don't know what he was thinking when he said he was at a rally. Don't sell your homes. Don't move. It's all coming back.
Oh.
And you're sitting there looking at him and you're going,
yeah, it's easy. Billionaire to say.
I was beyond irritated, and as I'm getting ready to pack my truck to head 4 hours north, right? With my then, 8 and 5-year-old. And we had a game plan already in place, how we were going to do this.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean it was any easier. And
it's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years.
Where's those jobs?
It's been 4 years and 2 months. Almost.
So where are those jobs at?
Well, I mean,
they coming back?
Let's see. Lordstown, there's been 2 or 3 different entities that have been in there. One of them went bankrupt. One of them is being sued.
Wasn't one of them Lordstown Motors?
Lordstown Motors is gone. There is a huge lawsuit right now, I think, with Foxconn. Basically,
Foxconn bought it?
I believe there was. I don't know if it's Foxconn or not, but I know that for whatever reason, I don't know if it was Foxconn or was it Lordstown Motors. One of them went to their investors, and one of their bargaining chips with their investors to get them to invest in their particular company, from a stock standpoint, was that they had just signed a multi-million-dollar contract with the United States Postal Service to build 100,000 electrical postal trucks, and that was a lie. And that was one thing. And then there was a few other things that they got caught, and so their investors are suing them. It's a complete nightmare from A to Z.
Wow.
It's a complete nightmare from A to Z. And in my own personal opinion, I do feel that eventually what's going to happen is that General Motors is going to move back into Lordstown, which is their plan from the very beginning. Why the hell would you build a battery plant that makes lithium batteries on the same property of a facility you just closed in an area of the United States? Really? Yes. In an area of the United States that is in no way, shape, or form anywhere near your supply chain management. It's almost like a snake when you look at it. You go from, Bay City and you keep working your way down all the way to Arlington. Yeah. It's almost like a snake. Lordstown's way out of the way. So why did you put the battery plant from a supply chain management from a cost
in Detroit?
From a cost structure standpoint, you're way out of your way shipping these batteries all over the place. You're not building a vehicle there.
Right.
Why would you do that for? Doesn't make any sense unless you from day one had this in your mind already. You hated the union fought you tooth and nail. You came up with this BS plan. Okay. You have people believe in this garbage. Okay. You decimated a community. I don't care how people think. There's people back in Youngstown that say, oh, we're no different now than we were then. That is a load of crap. Okay. This is a community that lost 20,000 jobs plus steel mills closing, several hospitals, Kmart distribution centers, Delphi Packard, Lordstown. we've lost 100,000 plus jobs in Youngstown, Ohio.
Oof.
Youngstown, Ohio had almost 200,000 people when I was just a wee little lad. Okay. I think now Youngstown, Ohio has about the same amount of people that GM have working in North American operations from a union standpoint.
Wow.
This was if I'm not mistaken, the second largest steel producing industry area in the United States, or maybe even in North America.
Wow.
And now it is literally, look up any video about Youngstown and find out what we're known for. Besides, unfortunately, back in the day, the mob. Okay. It was huge. It was huge. There's no hiding that. Still.
Yep.
And the best pizza in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dave, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not lying to you. When I'm up here,
I had pizza in it wasn't Youngstown. It was it Youngstown? What's another city near there?
Akron.
Akron. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Akron.
Yeah.
Is it similar to that? Or is it not as good?
I'm not going to say not as good. We had a neighborhood in Youngstown called Briar Hill. And you know what Briar Hill pizza is?
Mm-mm.
No. It's not really mozzarella cheese. It's like a Parmesan sprinkled cheese with green peppers and a different kind of sauce.
Okay.
It's cooked up way different. When I tell you, you'll be asking me to bring it back every time I bring it up here. The only problem is by the time I get here, it's cold. You have to heat it up, right? But there's pizza is king down there, and
it's like the donuts here.
But that's it. Yeah, the quality dairy donuts, crack cocaine. But so I mean, basically, Youngstown has been decimated. Then we lose Lordstown.
Yep.
And this is something, our CEO said something in an interview. I watched her say it, and I almost put my head through the wall when she said it, literally. And Dave's laughing because he can actually visualize that. And there's probably some people watching that can visualize that I may know personally. But she said, strikes, they're one of their biggest worries right now is that strikes decimate and cause a negative impact on communities.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the nerve that is?
She said that recently?
Yeah. When this was all getting ready to go down.
Wow.
The nerve of saying something like that, because my question to her and Mr. Farley and the gentleman who, and I use that term loosely, who runs Stellantis. My question to these three and their board of directors and the president of North American operations for each one and everybody it falls in line with them in Detroit. My question is, if strikes decimate and cause negativity and a negative impact on communities, what do plant closings cause? That's what I want to know, because they have no problem closing plants.
Yeah.
Since I was at Lordstown for the first 25 years, this was nothing new to us. Ypsilanti, Oldsmobile up here in Lansing, Michigan, 2 plants in New York, 1 in Baltimore, Shreveport, Janesville, Wisconsin, Mansfield, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma City. I keep one if you want. Detroit. So all these people were coming into our plant. It was like immigrants coming in from everywhere. Right. And I remember thinking to myself, as these people would come to Lordstown, we always would say, thank God, that we're so viable and we're so productive and we're doing so well here, because how scary and how horrible is it for these people? I had a guy, Jorge Bermudez, lived in New Jersey, worked at a plant there. He was on my data response team. And every Friday he'd go over at the end of the shift and he would fill up this big igloo cooler with ice from the ice machine, getting ready
to drive
for the trip back. And, he was like, what are you going to do, amigo? What are you going to do? Right.
Yeah.
It's just, it's amazing. Now you've got people over the place. It's not what they wanted to do. It's what they had to do. My friend Ellen Zapka, she is in Spring Hill, Tennessee. There's a lot of good that goes with that. She's a huge country music singing fan, right? So she's right there, right in the heart of it.
Yeah.
She bought a house that's worth like 4 times more than what she built down there because of the house. So she has some positives going on down there, and there's a lot of Lordstown people that are down there with her. Okay, but she's literally 8 hours away from her boys. They're a little bit older now, right? They're in their early 20s. One of her boys lives in Detroit, in the suburbs of Detroit, and the other one lives back in the Youngstown area, but she's that far away. She's a 2008 hire. So she's trying to figure out what am I going to do? Because I don't have a pension. I don't get health care when I retire. And so it's a different dynamic for her, right?
Yep.
And she left not knowing what was going to happen. So she may not even be part of the arbitration because they would say to her, maybe,
She agreed to leave.
you agreed to leave. When really her back was against the wall. What am I supposed to do? And then people say this all the time. No one told you had to do that. That fires me up. Nobody works for anybody where we told you had to do that.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is you have to work. And if you're in a situation where you've been with a company for a certain period of time,
Yeah.
there is a certain level of comfort where you are doing a job that you understand. And so
you're invested too at a certain point. Yeah.
You're invested. I hate that. That is a worst excuse people could make.
You don't have to do that. You could go do something else.
Yeah. No one told you to do that. You know, I hate that. Don't ever, folks, if you're listening, please come up with a different excuse than that. Please. It's absolutely. So I should have just walked away after 25 years.
Right.
We got 5 years to go. I'm going to be 54-ish, 55-ish when I retire with a pension and then go do, and I have more, more, what do they call it? Irons in the fire.
Yeah.
I always want to say kettles in the, I don't know what I'm thinking of sometimes, but irons in the fire. So, it's not going to just be because everyone thinks our pension, those who have a pension, they think we get, $3,200 a month for our pension. No, folks, we get $1,600 a month from General Motors.
Yep.
And the rest comes from Social Security. It's $3,200 from General Motors.
Right.
And and that's never a guarantee. You never know when. No. There's stipulations in the contract where the pension can go away at any time. I think it has something to do with profitability. I don't know if it comes with, net revenue margins or what it is, what something goes under the line somewhere for a certain period of time into the red. I don't know what, I literally have no idea what I'm talking about, but sure don't look like that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
Think about this. COVID 2020. We made record profits during COVID.
Yep.
Record profits.
Oh, we were still working.
We were still working because COVID can't get you when you're working on the line.
Nope.
2021. Part shortage.
It's like going to a restaurant and wearing your mask till you get to the table and then take it off, and COVID can't get you.
COVID can't get you at the table. It can get you in the doorway. Be careful. Once you get to that table, can't get you anymore. And you know what's sad about when you make sarcastic remarks like that? People say that you're racist. I never got that. I don't understand what the hell that means. And they also say that you don't care about how many people COVID killed. This is the absolute absurd mindset. Yeah, I don't care that people died from COVID. No. Yeah, you know me, serial killer mentality. Of course, you're a super spreader. Of course, the disease was real, and of course, it killed people.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that there's a lot that goes with that.
There's definitely a lot that goes with it, like health, personal health.
I'm not allowed to talk about that, right?
We could talk about it.
Yeah, so people. Here's what pisses me off to no extent as a professional trainer of 21 years now. Okay. When you talk about metabolic health, you talk about fatty liver disease, when you talk about lung disease, when you talk about so many different forms of heart disease, there's another C word out there that nobody seems to care about: cancer. Mm-hmm. Cancer kills millions every year, not just 2020, 2021. Cancer kills millions yearly. Kids all the way up and through. Yet there's no outcry. And the way that it was approached with COVID, why don't we approach cancer that way too? Why don't we get that vigilant with cancer and fight this from a prehabilitatory standpoint, which means rehabilitatory is when it's too late. You already have the disease because of years of horrible eating, smoking, drinking, bad life, bad habits, no exercising, right? None of that stuff. And then after 10, 12 years, that's when the problems start. That's why no one pays attention to them, because it takes. COVID was as soon as you got it, boom. But what people don't understand is I want you guys to go back and look at everybody who passed from COVID and tell me how many of them had underlying metabolic diseases. How many of them? Because the last time I looked, it was 75%. Does that mean that they deserve to get COVID and die? No, I didn't say that. I said that I bet you that percentage would have been a lot lower. Does that mean that those that did die would have been okay? This is what I get. This is why I don't like talking about it.
Yeah. Just
stupid comment after stupid comment. Talk about uneducated. It's what we're saying is we could prevent COVID from not existing. It's here, but it can become the flu.
Right.
If we can simply understand that we need to be better from a health, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to supplementation, when it comes to exercise.
Yep.
I'm not saying you can never eat bad again. I'm saying learn how to eat properly and better yourself from the bad habits. Oh, I can't have a drink. No, but you're going to have to cut out the 12 to 15 beers a week.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, so, that's a problem I have. Well, we need to work on helping people get help with that.
Yeah.
That's a serious issue. Alcoholism,
Oh my gosh.
cigarette addiction, huge problem.
And just look at the amount of people we work with that you talk to, and they're like, I'm going to go home and have a beer tonight or a couple. And it's like, and that's a nightly regular routine for them.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad, because then they're just slowly killing themselves. And then if something like COVID comes along, then bam.
Yeah.
They're done.
COVID, it exasperates the situation times 10. It really does, especially if it's involved with some type of lung disease where it's in your breathing airways. And that's a fact. That's the truth. That's an absolute fact. It's not that people didn't die from COVID, but how many people died from COVID who had these underlying issues?
Yeah, like
maybe things could have gotten better. Maybe things could have,
like your mom said, don't forget the many people died with COVID, not from it. Yeah, I mean, there were people that died in car accidents that had COVID, and they said they died from COVID.
True story. I'm not going to give names. True story. A buddy of mine, I haven't talked to him in a while now. His dad had 3 strokes. 3. The third stroke, when he was taken to the hospital, he was an older guy, and he from a metabolic disease standpoint, he was doing pretty good in life until the strokes, and then the third stroke did him in. Passes away. On his death certificate, they put that he died from COVID.
What? Did he have COVID?
He had COVID.
Whoa.
He was in there for his third stroke, unconscious.
Whoa.
Now, you tell me how the hell
got funding for that.
They went after them and lost.
No shit.
No, dead serious. Now, you explain that to me. This is what makes me mad, because, folks, here's the thing. It's not that I don't say that COVID is real and what a nightmare that was in 2020. It's, why are they trying to instill more and more fear? There's enough fear already instilled. Let's make it out to be worse than it is, just to scare the hell out of everybody even more.
Yeah.
When you can say, listen, we're finding this as a problem. We can tackle this from our scientific research, some of the smartest people in the world.
Yeah.
We're going to work here from our end and coming up with the right whatever. You guys from your end, we need you to start being better as human beings.
Right.
Understand nutritional eating, understand supplementation, what's good for you, what's bad for you. Educate yourself. You educated the hell out of yourself with COVID. You people were going from link to link to link to link to link.
Most of it was misinformation too.
So change direction, change energy, and educate yourself on what you can do to be healthier, so that if you do get COVID, I got COVID 3 times.
Yep, me too.
I'd say there was the one time where, and I followed protocol all the way through.
Yeah.
The one time I was down for a day where I just felt lethargic. Other than that, you know how bad I wanted to work out all the rest of the time. I was like, now, you're saying, you're not the majority. I know, because the majority in our country aren't following protocol.
Right. Well, what's crazy though is, I was at that time when I got COVID the first time, I was training for that ultra marathon, and I had just gotten done with running a training run. It was like 26 miles. So it was a marathon. And like 2 days later, I got COVID. Now, sure, I'm like in top shape. I'm in extremely healthy, but in the same sense, I'm not healthy, because I'm pushing my body to these extremes. So it broke down my immune system to where I was more susceptible to getting sick, and getting sick like worse.
Yeah.
So when I got COVID, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I got COVID from the dealership. I just bought my truck, and the very next day I went to work, and I'm sitting at work, and it just hit me like that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there on the gas tank job, and I'm just like, it was on break, and I'm like, oh man, like what's happening? My body just started hurting. I'm sweating. That night I went home. I think I got tested, and COVID. And then I was down for weeks after that. Couldn't work out.
I remember that.
I was fine for the most part. Like once the first 2 days went by, most of my symptoms subsided. But then I ended up with like loss of taste, and cardio was extremely difficult. Extremely, like walking up and down stairs was hard.
Do you experience any of, the after COVID symptoms that people
No,
say that you
no,
every now and then I'll have a cough and
really.
it'll come and go. I don't know if that's that COVID cough. I don't know but it hasn't hampered me breathing wise.
Okay.
I don't have a problem breathing. I go through some extreme high intensity interval training
Yeah.
workouts that I'm just like going through a wall with them. And it's not been a problem. There was that one day that I said I was down. I was down. I mean, not sick to my stomach, not a fever or anything. I felt like I got hit by a semi.
Yeah.
Like it just could not function. I
Yeah.
could not. And I thought to myself, this sucks, right? COVID's not a joke.
No.
And I think
No.
that's what people have to understand. We're not saying COVID's a joke. We're saying that I don't understand why. And I see what she commented on there. And that's been something that's been said before, that many people died with COVID, not from it. But then she said something else too, as far as
Hospitals got more funding based on the number of COVID deaths they had.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know basically if I've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
And you know what people will say though? So some people on this side will say fake news,
Mm.
but I've seen so many different from both sides.
Yeah, but the point is you could be tip top shape or you could be in terrible shape, and both people get COVID. But if you're in tip top shape, you're more than likely going to bounce back. The likelihood
It's
of
very
you,
true.
the likelihood of you ending up in the hospital and on knocking on death's door is very low.
Listen, it's an absolute fact. There's no arguing that. People will though,
They will.
but there's no arguing
So
it.
one of my friends, extremely overweight, got COVID, ended up getting the antibody shot or whatever, monoclonal antibodies. They gave it to him. He's a young dude. They gave it to him because of his risk of, like ending up in the hospital.
Yeah.
I got COVID. Not once did they suggest that I should get that because they knew I'd bounce back.
Yeah. They even, would give different disclaimers about, if this is your situation, don't even come in.
Right.
Deal with it, because they were so overwhelmed with what is she doing?
You never told us you had COVID.
This is becoming I got my coffee. So yes, I did tell you I had COVID. Me and the boys stayed home.
You're being a super spreader.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was Thanksgiving and we ended up not having Thanksgiving.
I ended up with COVID during Thanksgiving too.
Yeah. And my boys, they're not getting that. I'm letting everybody know this now. They will not get the shot. Absolutely not. Zero, not happening. I got the shot the first time.
Did you really?
Yes. I got it the first time. I didn't get it the second time or whatever. And I didn't get the booster. I won't be boosted. You're not boosting me, period.
They say that the more you get it, the higher the likelihood of you getting COVID is.
Don't know. And I'm not here to find out. And that's that. And anybody who wants to be entertained right now, I don't know what else you're doing at home, folks, but I know for a fact that I did tell her that I had COVID.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But this will be an argument for months. For months.
You put us at risk. No,
no, I didn't. We didn't go over. We didn't go over there when we had COVID. There's certain things you don't do. I mean, if you have COVID, keep your ass at home. I mean, come on. It's not, so you have to wear a mask. Okay. And whatever. Now there's a new strain coming, whatever, R2D2, whatever it is, C3PO.
But do you think that you should have to follow those protocols? I mean, considering that, let's say you get sick. I mean, anything could be COVID today, right? Like the sniffles, like the symptoms vary widely. You could have like a runny nose and just kind of feel down a little bit and have COVID. Do you think you should have to go get tested so that, let's say, your coworkers know you have COVID when there's not even things in place anymore for you to have like COVID time off?
No.
Or should you just go to work at like normal? And
well, what do we do at work? The people who show up and they have the sniffles, they wear a mask.
Should you have to do that?
Well, the work tells us you still come into work.
But should you have to wear a mask?
I don't know. Because how many times have we seen the studies about wearing the mask? I mean, God, what a nightmare that was.
There was a, I think it was a doctor. He had a mask on and he had a vape, and he vaped through the mask, and the cloud of smoke that came out. He's like, the particles that come out, spit particles, are a lot smaller than smoke, and they come out a lot easier.
there was one time there was a point in time years ago when you seen Dr. Fauci talk about masks. Where's he been, by the way?
Well, RFK wrote a book about him. The
Okay.
real Anthony Fauci.
Well, where's he at?
He
And
retired.
oh, did he?
Yeah.
That's nice. And so literally talking about masks and how they're actually maybe more detrimental to your health
Mhm.
than not wearing a mask.
Yep.
Then that video was, oh, it's the way you're looking at it. They cut that video. There
Yep.
was nowhere where that video was cut. It was clean, dry. That's what he said.
Yep.
I watched it.
Yep.
There's nowhere, if you watch the time, if you slow it down, no, it wasn't. Or that person who did it is fantastic. I'm going to tell you right now, and they're in the wrong line of work.
Right.
He basically said just that. And then all of a sudden, you have to mask up. Everybody mask up.
Yep.
And it was just funny.
He lied because he didn't want everybody to go and buy all the masks because the healthcare professionals needed them.
Right. So what were we supposed to do? I mean, they're just the mask thing divided this. I never thought a damn mask was going to divide this country the way it did.
I remember looking at Asian people, like on campus, at
Mhm.
MSU campus, when they're sick, they would wear a mask. Like, oh, what do they got? You always kind of looked at them funny.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and everybody wears a mask, and now you don't think twice about it.
No. I seen people, regardless, regardless of their cultural background, that will wear masks. We had a girl at work that would wear a mask when she didn't feel good.
Really?
Way back in the late 90s,
See,
early 2000s.
I've only noticed it like on campus. I mean, because a lot of those people are more, I guess, health conscious. Like
They're very much
a lot of
more
your
health
Asian
conscious.
cultures are a
Yes.
lot more health conscious.
Very much so. From a physical standpoint, from a mobility and from an overall strength standpoint,
Yep.
to nutritional value and everything that goes with that,
Yep.
and how to keep yourself healthy. They're way ahead of us.
Yep.
Way ahead of us. And this country don't care.
No.
They act like they care, but they
Yep.
don't. And if they did, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. How many people did you know that almost 40% of our doctors are considered to be obese?
And I'm not surprised.
And these are the people that are telling us. So some of the smartest people in the world, doctors, there's no question in my mind. Some of the smartest people in the world.
Yep.
Doctors, they're trained to diagnose and cure. But when it comes to the prehabilitating part, when it comes to understanding how to stop it from happening in the first place,
Yep.
I don't know exactly. I'm sorry, but I don't put my trust in them.
No.
I don't.
No.
And that's just the way it goes.
I had a doctor tell me when I went to the doctor. I don't want to say why I went to the doctor, but I went to the doctor and I was kind of telling her about some things going on.
Rash?
No, nothing like that. And I was telling her about some things I have going on. I'm stressed out, and she told me I need to do less.
Okay.
She's like, you should just consider doing less. And I was like, well, I do the podcast. I do this business. I have this. I'm stressed out. And she's like, well, you should just consider doing less.
Okay.
I was like, so you're telling me I should be less ambitious?
Okay. So I could understand if she was saying this in a way that you should have down point periods. So you're doing what you're doing. Start taking every third weekend off and just relaxing and enjoying.
That's not what she was saying.
So
she was saying I should just stop doing things.
No.
And I was like, no. Like you want me to be depressed?
No, there's you have to have an understanding. Okay. There's, when we talk about rhabdomyolysis, that's a real thing.
Right.
I know several people that have had it.
Cipriano.
Cipriano Benavides. And a lady that I had on our podcast, Kim Rigetti-Zvebic, she had it. She almost died. Yeah, she almost died. And so rhabdomyolysis is the thing where you overexert yourself from an exercise, not always exercise. It could be anything. It could be a physical job on top of exercise, top of stress in your life.
Would that be like a lack of hydration and just nutrition?
Huge. Because I don't know about nutrition, because both of these people that we're talking about are huge into, taking and eating.
Right. But you said you could get it just from like a stressful job or something.
Well, I mean, so physically stressful and mentally stressful. I mean, it could be anything. It could be a foreman on a construction, crew that works in really hot weather.
Oh, okay,
And
right,
then you're also doing CrossFit training
right, okay,
on top of raising
yeah,
3 kids between the ages of 4 and 6. I mean, you're just asking, and
right,
you're working out 6 days a week. You're working 7 days a week. You're married. You're
yeah,
trying to make that work. That is literally a perfect storm for that to happen. And so there's that. So maybe you have to implement downtime, and periodize it. But
right,
just to
right,
say, I'm not doing CrossFit training anymore.
yeah.
I'm not working. I'm not doing,
Well,
I'm going to have to quit my job and find a less stressful job. No, you just have to find ways for some downtime.
I think it's a problem when you have doctors that are not giving out the proper advice in physical fitness and health, overall health, and what's good for like ambition and drive, especially for like a young person.
Yeah. You know what? I think this is the bigger problem because doctors are looked at as elite mindset, um, cure disease.
Mm, right.
Um, that's a huge thing, right? These are people that go in and operate on our hearts, our brains, and save lives.
Yep.
This is huge.
Yep.
I have a cousin. She's on the heart surgical heart team in Cleveland Clinic.
Well, you should have her on the
Yeah.
podcast.
You know what? 1 and 2, there's a lot of different stipulations
Oh, okay.
and a lot of different things when it comes to what she's allowed to do and not do. So she was a little
Gotcha.
wary of that.
Gotcha.
But I mean, you want to talk about brilliant. You want to talk about, I mean, I absolutely respect everything she does.
Yeah.
She's a brilliant mindset, great person too, great human being. But what they do is amazing. Amazing.
That's one of the most prestigious hospitals too, right?
Yes. That
For
team,
hearts.
that team is top
Wow.
rank, right? It's number one. So when it comes to that, it's so, but that folks, that doesn't mean that every doctor in the world is someone you listen to on. There's a reason why they say you need to get a second and third opinion. It's not because the person didn't go to medical school and they didn't get
Yeah.
their medical degree and they didn't do all kind of internship and everything. They had residencies and everything they went through. They had to get that degree.
Yeah.
You can respect that, but that does not mean they get it right every time. And I'm sorry, when it comes to not the diagnosing and curing part, when it comes to the part before that, how can I stop this from happening? What can I do with my digestive system so that I'm
Mhm.
not getting into this situation where I have IBS now, where I have, so many different problems when it comes to, my gut, and when it comes to my digestive system, when it comes to my heart issues, my fatty liver now, I have all these respiratory problems and it's just compounding,
Yep.
leading to more and more bad cellular development in your body. And the next thing you know, you're told you have pancreatic cancer.
Yep.
And folks, don't tell me that's not what happens. That's exactly what happens. You don't see it coming because it takes 12 to 15 years.
Yep.
So it's not a big issue because it's not like COVID where boom, overnight
Right.
it hits you. So,
Yep.
and all of a sudden it was something new, and all of a sudden millions of people worldwide are dying from it. And there was a big drive to scare the living hell out of everybody. And I thought about that. Millions didn't die from COVID this year. Millions still died of cancer. Nobody's talking about it.
Yep.
We got a war on cancer all the time.
Diabetes too.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what. I'm not going to say names because I know the individual and she's a wonderful person. Had somebody on our podcast, okay, in the medical field who was talking about type 2 diabetes, not type 1. Type 1 you're born with.
Mm-hmm. Type 2 you can prevent.
Yeah.
And you could even reverse it.
Not according to her. According to her, it can happen, but it's not the norm. It's not the norm because our idea of preventing type 2 diabetes is just continuing to feed it insulin. It doesn't
Right.
make any sense at all.
No.
At all.
No.
At all. And I'm not a doctor. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night and I didn't play one on TV. But I know damn well that you don't cure the problem by feeding it exactly what the problem is.
Right.
It's an overabundance of insulin in your body. And here's the thing. This was my argument. How did you become a type 2 diabetic? Through your own means.
Yep. Your diet.
You got
lack of
there.
Exercise.
You got there. You can get the hell out of there.
Yep.
And I've seen it happen a million times.
Yep.
People who have gotten completely off their medicine and have completely changed their lifestyle and are no longer not only not type 2, but not even pre-diabetic anymore. And they change their lifestyles and they beat it.
Yep.
And it's happened millions of times. And when she said that, it pissed me off to no because it just confirmed that they understand the diagnosing, they understand the curing, they don't understand how to stop it from happening in the first place.
Right.
And it's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. That's why when it comes to supplementation, people will tell me my doctor said to take this. Your doctor doesn't know what to take when it comes to
No.
supplementation.
Nope.
If they do, they're more on the holistic side.
Yep.
We had a gastroenterologist on our show many times, Dr. Becky Natrajan. Brilliant and understands it because she got away. She retired from gastroenterology and got into her own business and she's currently still finding her way in terms of what avenue she wants to take, but she didn't want to do that anymore. She saw the problem with the diagnose and cure rather than prevent, from a holistic approach.
Yeah.
What are the different things you should be doing with your life to prevent it from happening in the first place?
Right. Right.
Why are you putting your digestive system in a situation where it's working 24/7? You have to give your digestive system a rest. The digestive system is the most important system in your body because that's where it all starts.
You have to feel empty too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to allow your body to empty itself out.
Let your
before
body
you start dumping more stuff in.
Right. Let the digestive system let the digestive system relax and get back on track.
Right.
Clear it out, rejuvenate, move on. And allow it to do, there's 11 systems in our body. Let the other systems work.
Yep.
Your body's concentrated so much on that, it just starts to cause, it's literally a domino effect.
Yep.
And people, if you're eating every 2 hours, constantly, every day, and you're eating processed foods constantly, all you're doing, imagine your job, folks, even if it's a sit-down job. Imagine us doing this podcast right now 24 hours every day. Do you know how worn out we would be?
I'm tired right now.
Right. Oh, you want me out of here? Where's my keys? No, but seriously, imagine okay. I just wanted to see if there was any. We got to say thank you to her. Actually, she's been on this.
She's been on this. She's been one of the viewers.
Yeah.
We've had 2.
They're not messing around. They're not messing around. These people want to hear what I have to say. The bottom line is I'm not an expert. If I was Jordan Peterson, you'd have 6 million people watching this right now.
Sweet.
Did you hear about him, by the way?
No.
They're going to take his license away.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Now here's the thing.
Canada.
Yeah. Here's the thing about that. He hasn't practiced clinical psychology in I don't know how long.
Yep.
It's not going to take away the fact that he's still going to do his podcast. He's still going to speak at all these events. He's going to become even more popular now.
Yeah.
I don't know how people don't understand this cancel culture. All you do is empower them to become more and more powerful because now people who didn't know him want to know what the hell did this guy say?
Right. Exactly.
To make you people so mad.
What is it that they're trying to cancel him over?
I forget now. It was on Joe Rogan. Go figure. Joe doesn't hold back. So I can't remember exactly what it was that Joe talked about. I mean, he's had Jordan Peterson on. I don't know how many times.
Quite a few times.
But Jordan Peterson, like I told you before, I've got to be really on my game when he starts talking. That guy is brilliant.
Yeah, you need some more of that coffee.
More organic coffee. So, I mean, yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're on strike. We're doing a podcast. We're talking about everything from COVID to, we haven't really gotten into politics, but we kind of did.
Did a little bit.
Did a little bit. And I don't know. I mean,
we'll probably wrap it up with that.
Sure.
It's an hour. We're an hour and 22 minutes in.
Oh my goodness. I think last time it was like an hour and 15.
Was it?
Uh-huh. We just keep going further and further down the road here into the rabbit hole.
We should do this every time you come up. You're going to be up here all next week, right?
So I'm not going to be up here all next week.
No.
Now. So what happened is, things change. My youngest.
It's a fluid situation.
Yeah, my youngest
would say during COVID.
Well, my youngest decides he wants to be a runner, so he's on the running team.
Ah, cool.
4th grade. Okay.
Cool.
And so he says, here's my slip. He's running in a race, a 5K.
Oh, cool.
3.1 miles, right? On the 22nd of October. So I'm looking at the calendar. I'm like, well, guess I'm going home again after strike duty. And then the following week is Halloween.
Oh yeah.
So we're getting towards the end of trick or treat, I think. Like it's getting to the point, like the soon to be 14-year-old, he's like,
no, they're going to still want to go.
I think they're going to want to do their thing with their friends or go to Halloween parties pretty soon here.
Yeah.
Once you get into high school, it's like someone's having a party at their house.
Start drinking.
Yeah. But
taking shots out of pumpkins.
Yeah. Jake, I don't know what he's talking about. But so, I mean, even now, like last year when we went trick-or-treating, my 13-year-old went with his buddies and they did their own thing. And then the younger one went with his group. And I think it was like an hour in or an hour and a half in. They're like,
This is dumb.
we're good. We got we did it for 4 hours. It
Mm,
was from 6:30
yeah.
to 10:30 at night.
Holy cow.
And I mean, I went up the street, filled up the bag, came back
Yeah.
down. We go to the same house 4 times. The lady would be like, "Gene Simmons, get the hell out of here! You've been here 4 times already." You were scouting who was giving out the big candy bars. You didn't want the apple or the toothbrush.
No.
Lady would give out toothbrushes. You skipped her, right?
Lame.
Yeah, but you went back to the oversized Kit Kats and things like that. So we would go back 4 times for 4 hours, and it was dark outside. Now half the time it's light outside.
Snowing.
It's snowing. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, so nonetheless, it would have to be on a Wednesday again, where I would just stay over and then head back on a Thursday.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we'll do another live. Hopefully, if it works out, we'll do another live like next week.
Yeah, I can easily stay next Wednesday.
Okay.
I mean, hell, look at that. Maybe people are going to listen to the recorded version.
People will
say,
listen.
"Oh, I don't like him at all. I think I'm going to listen to what this idiot's going to say next." I don't know.
People will listen. Typically, when I go live, a couple of people will watch, but then like within a day, it shoots.
I
up.
see. I see. I always see when I listen to one of your podcasts, I'll see like how that normally would be how it would work for us.
Yeah. You should definitely do a podcast though. You should continue the podcast.
Yeah.
I want to help you with that somehow.
Well, we're trying to figure that. We'll talk a little bit more about that maybe next. We could start off next week with that.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Do that.
Cool.
All
right, Sarge. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mama Sarge, for tuning in and engaging in the conversation. It was fun.
I want to know who the second person is. Say something.
Who is the second person? Comment real quick.
Who are you? You're watching. We see it. You can't hide. It's probably someone we don't know who they are.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No. All right.
Well,
thanks again for doing this, and I'll catch you. Oh, she said bye, guys.
Oh, bye, guys. All right. See you.
All right, see you.
All right.